I've been living in Sweden for 3 years already, and there are some things that I still find pretty strange. And the first thing is, I noticed it when we just came to Sweden. There were so many candy shops, and it was very crowded every Friday. And I was like, it's strange, but okay. And then I read an article about this Saturday candies was introduced, like as an event was introduced, I don't know, like several decades ago probably, because a lot of kids, they have this problems with teeth because they ate too many candies and too many sweet things. So doctors here, dentists probably, decided to restrict consumption of goodies, of candies. And so now it's like before now, and still it's a habit for a lot of Swedish people to have candies during Saturdays. And so Friday you prepare yourself to have this big bag of candies. I read that it helped, and less children had issues with teeth and health after this restriction. But as I understood, like a lot of my friends are telling me some of their like Swedish colleagues have issues with eating sweet things because they had this food restrictions, and they're like holding themselves too many times when they were kids, and during their childhood they cannot eat enough sweet, and now when they're mature, when they're adults, they're like compensating it. And I don't think it's like for everyone, but it's definitely like when you restrict something in food, it's definitely cause you or can cause you some eating disorder. The second thing, and I usually can face it during my working hours or when I plan to meet some Swedish friends, and they usually counting in weeks, so they know like, oh, today is week number 24, or I don't know, second week, or we can meet, or I will have vacations during week number 13 and 14. And I was like, oh my god, this is very difficult. I Googling it all the time. I cannot used to it still, and I found it difficult to follow. But I think it's convenient sometimes, like measuring this in weeks. But the only week I know is the first week and the second one. And this is pretty common here, I think. And sometimes, like during August, it's a big time when everyone has their vacation, and some shops, especially small ones and restaurants, can be closed, and you can see the sign on the door there, like week number till week number another will be closed, will be on vacation. And I was like, okay, this is nice, but I really need to know which week today. I don't really know if anyone else actually uses counting in the weeks. Please tell me in comments. I also think in Sweden there are a lot of queues, and I probably never seen such queues like here, because okay, first of all, I really like that Swedish people, they don't interrupt, they don't cut the queue, and they really like patient. And even, I'm not sure, but like I never seen anyone to be like annoyed staying in the long queue. It's usually like expats like me, because I don't know, we just not used to staying in the queues. But the other thing about queues is like you stand in the queue to get apartment if you're applying for first-hand apartment, or if you have like a boat or yacht, I suppose, or like you have a car and you need your parking place for boat or a car, so for some vehicle you also can stand in the queue. This is pretty interesting, and yeah, I don't like I know that in many countries you can just buy the spot, rent it or whatever, and there's no, like, it's not a big deal to have a parking spot, for instance. But here in Sweden you just like stand in queue for renting apartment, and as I mentioned in some of my previous videos, you can stay in the queue like 10 years or something to get apartment in the city center, and this is considered here as like normal. Another thing is it's very good with public transportation and also with infrastructure for bicycles, and I really like there are so many people cycling like to get to work or like having kids on their like these big boxes. I don't remember how it's called, but it's pretty nice. But I find myself it's very difficult to get from one like end of the city to go to another one, and because in Gothenburg a lot of hills, and I cannot really like do it on my own for like 40 minutes because I'm dying here. I don't have like enough breath for it. And I found it strange that you cannot take your bicycle with you to the tram or bus. You can only take it on train. And I was like, okay, but if I would like to go to islands and I'm living like 5 m from the seashore and I don't want to some bags on me, and I don't want to like cycling all the way there because I wanted to enjoy it. So the only like thing is you need to buy electric bike. This is kids. And yeah, so it's a bit weird. I would really like if you had the opportunity to take bicycle on board. It will be much more convenient, and I don't know, maybe some old people could also use bicycles more often if they could bring them on bus, but they probably have cars. So this is pretty weird until this day for me as well. Like if you know the person's name and surname and you living in Sweden or you're using Swedish VPN, you could check how much income does this person has, and also you could check telephone number and what else, and address. It's a very transparent system, but I find it's like pretty strange because I don't know, you don't always want other people know your address coming to you for whatever reason, or knowing your phone number. So is this really secure? For instance, you could check like your colleague's salary or the salaries, like income of people living in some region or in the neighborhood, and you also can see the median, I suppose, like, oh, you're getting more money than like other 50% of your neighborhood or whatever. This is pretty interesting, but still it's kind of very transparent, and I don't really know how people can use this data like against you, for instance. The other thing is pretty funny. It's nice, but still I found a lot of Swedish people who is really using knife and fork, and they don't really eat like with hands. For instance, they could cut pizza or burger, or I don't know, like in some countries the like savory pastry is pretty popular, and sometimes I see Swedes eating like cutting the bun, for instance, and I was like, oh, this is pretty weird, but okay, why not? And I found this culture difference pretty interesting. It's not like the bad things or whatever, and this changes and like weird stuff. This is nice. This is what makes Sweden pretty interesting to me, and I really love this country. And I have a video about 10 things I really love about Sweden. So if you enjoyed this one, you can watch another one. Puss puss!